The young man was horrified to discover that his wife, who had been in a coma for years, could now use the toilet independently. She even knew to flush the toilet afterward and then walk back to her room on her own. She even put the clips used to monitor her heartbeat back on her wrist when she lay down in bed. The young man was stunned, wondering if people in a vegetative state could sleepwalk. It turned out that earlier that day, the young man, fresh out of university, had been diagnosed with a terminal illness. The doctor told him he only had 6 months to live. The thought of dying without ever having been in a relationship was unbearable for him. So, wanting to experience love before he died, he went to a matchmaking corner and promoted himself to everyone, even writing on a sign that he only wanted girls with terminal illnesses. Seeing this, everyone assumed he was trying to scam insurance, unaware that he simply wanted to find someone who shared his plight and experience a relationship. Just when the young man thought his plan was about to fail, he was spotted by an elderly woman with a daughter in a vegetative state. They got married that very day. Hearing from his mother-in-law that his wife only had 6 months to live, the young man felt a deep sense of sympathy. Wanting to experience the sweetness of love, he decided to create his own treatment plan to wake his wife from her vegetative state before she died. He only intended to try it out, but it unexpectedly worked miraculously. That very night, the woman, who had been in a vegetative state for several years, began sleepwalking. She could not only get up to use the toilet on her own, but she could even lie back down in bed and put on her clamps. At this moment, the young man suddenly remembered his mother-in-law's words. She said the doctor had said that the woman's coma was caused by psychological trauma. To understand what had happened to the woman, the young man opened her suitcase and found a blue diary inside. After reading its contents, he finally understood the whole story. It turned out that the woman, like him, had been diagnosed with late-stage cancer during a medical checkup and had less than 6 months to live. However, she was afraid her lonely mother wouldn't be able to handle the blow, so she had kept it a secret. Later, her health deteriorated rapidly, and she eventually collapsed and fell into a coma. The young man noticed something amiss with the test report. It wasn't stamped, and the signature was handwritten. This clearly violated legal regulations, suggesting someone was deliberately framing the woman. He frantically called out to the woman, trying to wake her, but to no avail. After learning that the woman had been framed and was under immense psychological pressure, causing her to fall into a coma, the young man tried various methods to provoke her every day. After half a month, he finally managed to wake her up. However, she didn't disturb the young man. Instead, she had her nanny tell him that her mother had taken her to a nursing home. She then went to the hospital with her mother for a checkup. When the doctor said she was healthy, the mother and daughter burst into tears of joy. Their first thought was to go home and have a good meal. Seeing her daughter now full of energy, the mother decided to break her promise, saying that although the young man was quite charming, the difference in their family backgrounds was too great, and asked her daughter if she should end the marriage. Unexpectedly, the woman immediately refused after hearing this. She had grown accustomed to the young man's presence over the past 2 weeks. However, the thought of his embarrassing words and intimate actions filled her with a mixture of shame and anger. She decided to continue feigning unconsciousness to test his true love. Unbeknownst to her, the young man already knew she had woken up. Because she had sleepwalked, he was afraid she would get hurt, so he installed surveillance cameras in the room. Since the woman intended to test his feelings, the young man